Hi everyone and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome to a tag video. I've been tagged not once, not twice, but actually 3 times to share. I don't know if this tag has like an official name, but basically it's like looking back and reflecting on your luxury purchasing journey, history if you will, looking at your mistakes that you might have made along the way and sharing your lessons learned, I guess. So yeah, lessons learned after buying luxury for, I think, for me, it's like a little over a decade. My first like real deal luxury handbag purchase was my Neverfull, which is still in my collection, and that was 2013. So just to give you an idea, I do have like a decade to look back on and reflect on, and there definitely have been some mistakes made. So yeah, oh by the way, this tag was started by Connor from The Closet, and I've been tagged by Hannah, So Much Design with Hannah, Claire Louise Lux, and Victoria from Accounting for Luxury. All of those people will be linked in the description box below. I think I have 5 lessons learned to share with you, so let's start with number 1. And that might be somewhat of a controversial one. I don't know. Let's see, and you let me know in the comments below. In general, I would love to make this like an open discussion. So leave your thoughts, leave your mistakes that you've made along the way and the lessons you've learned from buying luxury in the comments below. I'd love to hear about that. Anyway, number 1, resale value. In my opinion, or like in my experience, I didn't make that mistake with handbags, luckily. But yeah, in my experience, going into the purchase, if resale value is one of the deciding factors, no issue with it being like a tiny factor, like consideration, because I definitely think about resale value or like how much a particular item holds up its value, for sure. But if it's like the deciding factor, really take a step back and think like, should I be getting that bag in the first place? Because when you're looking to buy a bag, but you're already thinking about a scenario where you would be selling that bag, is it actually a purchase that makes sense for you and that you should be making in the first place? As I said, luckily, because yeah, when we're talking about handbags, you would be looking at quite an expensive mistake, I guess. Luckily, I didn't make those kind of resale value-led mistakes when it comes to handbags, but I think maybe 1 or 2 SLG purchases, I was like, I don't really need you, but I know that if I decide to sell you on, I will make my money back. One SLG that comes to my mind immediately is, I think it's called the Chanel Zippy Coin Purse. Maybe it's called O-Zip something, like a tiny mini wallet, I guess, with I think 2 gussets. Gorgeous piece, but I'm gonna mention that piece again in another mistake or like lessons learned, but I was like, I don't really need you. You're actually too small for my needs, but you're classic. And if I decide to sell you on, which, spoiler alert, I haven't, because I can't really bring myself to sell it, I know I'll probably make my money back on it. That should have been a sign for me to actually take a step back and think about, why do you want that piece in the first place? And if you're already thinking about selling it, and if the resale value situation is one of the deciding factors, maybe it's not the smartest decision for you. All right, lesson number 2. But before we get to that, hi, in case this is your first time watching one of my videos, I'm Leslie. I'm so glad to have you here, and obviously if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. On my channel I talk about all things luxury, in particular handbags, but I cover a wide range of topics. I film unboxings, reviews, tag videos apparently. I adore filming shopping vlogs, travel vlogs if I get the chance to travel, and I mean traveling is definitely a luxury as well. So if any of that sounds like a thing, I would love for you to consider subscribing. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Both of those things are totally free for you, but they would mean so much to me. Anyway, back to my lessons learned. Lesson number 2 is that small, in-between purchases, usually the impulse purchases, are the enemy. That sounds a little dramatic, but maybe you've been in the same boat. Let's say you want to save up for a bag, you know, okay, I'm gonna buy, let's say, I don't know, like a classic flap, for instance, or like a Birkin, although you can't really plan for those because, at least for me, they pop up like very unexpectedly. I'm saying I only got 1 Birkin last year, but like I did get it very unexpectedly. So anyway, where was I going? Oh, right. Okay, so let's say you're saving up for a specific bag, you know how much it costs currently, not factoring in price increases. And you're like, okay, if I save like X amount of money each month, I might be able to get there in 10 months. 10 months sounds manageable, right? And you're like super like determined and like laser focused on making your savings goal for the first 1 or 2 months maybe. And then you realize 10 months is actually quite a long time. And as time progresses, suddenly this pair of sunnies looks very tempting and that SLG isn't that much money, right? So I think I should be rewarding myself for sticking to my savings goal, right? not quite right. I mean, I've definitely been there. SLGs, Twillies. I did have like a situation with Twillies because both SLGs and Twillies, when you compare it to the prices of a handbag, it's like negligible. Depending on the SLG. I mean, SLGs can get quite pricey. Like a pair of earrings, designer sunnies, smaller purchases, big quotation marks there, because price-wise they add up so quickly. Like take 4-5 Chanel SLGs, that could buy you a handbag. Not any handbag, not a Birkin, not a Chanel Classic Flight, but you get the idea. Like those small in-between purchases really add up. Plus, as I said, like picture you're saving up for a specific handbag and you like mapped it out and you were like, okay, I'm gonna get there in 10 months. That purchase might set you back 1 month, maybe 2 months, and it pushes the bag that you're actually working towards further and further away. And maybe like those 2 months that an SLG that realistically you didn't really need and maybe you didn't even want, you just like needed like a quick fix, I guess, because yes, saving up for a handbag takes a while because they're expensive. But anyway, so let's say you bought an SLG. That set you back 2 months. What if, thanks to those like extra 2 months, there's a price increase? So all of that to say is, I know SLGs can be tempting. I know like small in-between items, quick fixes can be tempting. But if it's a bag that you're actually after, try to stay focused. I know it's way easier said than done. I've been there, believe me, but that's where I'm coming from when I say small in-between purchases are the devil. Because if you're saving up for a bag, save up for a bag. And getting that bag in the time frame that you envisaged is way more rewarding than stretching out the process, risking a price increase just because you felt like you needed like a little something here and there. If that makes sense? I don't know. Let me know if you've been there. As I said, I'm the first to admit that some of my handbag purchases have been pushed a little further away from me, because in my mind I was like, yeah, that Twilly like in-between purchase, or like this pair of Chanel earrings. But if you add them up, they very quickly equal a bag, and they like push the actual handbag purchase further and further away from you. All right, lesson number 3, and I'm fairly certain that I'm not alone on this either, is just because something is on sale or something is at the outlets doesn't necessarily mean, like, scratch the necessarily, doesn't mean that it's a good deal and that you're saving so much money by buying it. Because you know what? The most amount of money you can save is by not purchasing anything. So, I mean, sales are so tempting, I get it. Or like being at the outlet and seeing like the initial price marked down to the outlet price, additional markdowns. I mean, I did go to Bicester Village close to London last year twice. Check out my vlogs from there. And I also recently went to Remont, which is in the Netherlands, also a designer outlet center. Those markdowns are so tempting. But again, the most amount of money you can save is by not buying anything. So prime example of a mistake that led me to that realization of like lesson number 3 is way back when, I don't know about like the US or how it works like in Australia, the UK, but in Germany, I think at least, Chanel sales aren't public anymore. I might be wrong, maybe that's just my local boutique, but anyway, I purchased a bracelet. 40% off on costume jewelry in Chanel, and it was like a fairly chunky bracelet. We're gonna circle back on the chunky part. Anyway, so I was like, oh my god, that's like such a huge amount of saving. Plus, I think I waited in line to actually get into the boutique for like an hour or so. Another aspect that just because you spend a lot of time thinking about a purchase or like standing in line doesn't mean that you have to buy something that you don't really want. Anyway, so I was like, that's such an amazing amount of savings. Let me get that. Fast forward, not even like 2 weeks, I was like, yeah, that's super chunky. And my wrists aren't slender by any stretch of the imagination. I wear like T3 in Hermes bracelets, and I think T3 is like the max you can go when it comes to like women's sizing. Anyway, that bracelet was just way too chunky, way too overwhelming. It was like very bright yellow gold. I should have known to begin with. When I tried it on in the boutique, I was already like, but yeah, such an amazing amount of savings. Let me get that. Yeah, I ended up selling it. I did make a profit, I think like $100, because obviously I bought it in the sale. I could have saved myself from all of the effort and like time lost on trying to sell the item if I hadn't been sucked into the sale. Lesson number 4, if you found something that works for you, you don't have to branch out and try something new and feel the need that you have to purchase like a variety. Case in point, I mean, I'm sure there are a couple of examples that I could be pulling from my collection. Case in point though is, if you've watched my channel for any amount of time and you've like come across a video where I talk about sunglasses, you may have heard me mention that I just know my shape of sunglasses, or like my type of sunglasses, is black cat eyes with like gold detail. I know that works for me. It's taken me a long time to actually find a shape and like style of sunglasses that looks good on me. I think they look good on me. Anyway, so by now I do have a good amount of sunglasses in that kind of shape, both luxury and non-luxury. But I was like, maybe I should branch out. Maybe I should try something new. Maybe I should buy like a very round shape, metal frame, very light colored glasses. Maybe I shouldn't have. I mean, okay, the sunnies I'm talking about, I don't have them here to show you, but they're still in my collection because selling sunglasses is kind of a pain. I mean, selling anything luxury related or like non-luxury related, selling anything is a pain. Sunnies in particular, but anyway, so they're a pair of Tiffany sunglasses. I bought them 2 years ago or something like that, and I think I can count on one hand the amount of times I've actually worn those sunnies. Because also they have these like nose bits. Should have been a telltale sign that those sunnies won't work for me because yeah, I like to wear my sunnies, if they're not on my nose, in my hair. And those like nose bits get tangled in my hair and it's a huge mess. I end up ripping out my hair, but yeah, anyway, so there were so many factors that should have told me, stick to what you like, stick to what you're used to, stick to what you know works for you. There's no need to branch out. And lesson number 5, and that is, just because something works for someone else, or a lot of people tell you that it's a must-have and it's like a staple piece in your collection, doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for you and that it's gonna work for you. And case in point is again that like Chanel zip coin purse like wallet situation. On social media, mostly on YouTube, at one point it felt like everyone got like a black classic SLG from Chanel, either one of those zippy ones or like a regular card holder. So in my mind I was like, okay, everyone's got one, might as well like jump on the bandwagon. If everyone has one, chances are it's a sign that it works out for everyone, so I'm sure it will work out for me, right? Not right. Back when I purchased it, I was very much like a long continental wallet type of girl. That to begin with should have been a sign of, how do I think I can easily like transition into like a tiny little card, or not even card, like a coin purse situation? Like, how do I think that like translates from a large continental wallet in this like tiny thing? So that should have been a sign of me being massively influenced and thinking just because something works for other people, it will automatically work for me. But even now, I've massively downsized. I carry a card holder and a Louis Vuitton clé with like a couple of extra cards and sometimes cash. I hardly carry cash anymore, especially like living in London. I didn't touch a single piece of cash for half a year. But anyway, even with me having downsized my wallet situation, still that thing just doesn't work for me. And that's fine, but maybe I should have been able to prevent my purchase if I had taken a step back and been like, why am I buying it? So all in all, not the smartest decision on my end for me personally and for my needs in my collection. As I said, that piece is still in my collection because I can't really bring myself to sell it, because in my mind I'm like, okay, the prices have gone up on everything Chanel, including their SLGs, obviously. So I'm like, in my mind, if I sell it now, there's no way I'm gonna like repurchase it for like double the money, I guess. So that's why I'm kind of holding on to it and not selling it, because if like 5 years down the line I realize that coin purse situation is actually perfect for my needs, then I will have sold mine and repurchasing an SLG for, I mean, 5 years down the line, maybe it's like 1K or something like that. It's just not gonna happen. So that's why it's still in my collection, but it's also not getting used, which is kind of unfortunate. Anyway, so those are my 5 lessons learned from buying luxury. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing. It's totally free for you. You can unsubscribe at any time. But yeah, I'm currently working on getting to 4,000 subscribers. Maybe by the time that this video goes up, because I do have like a couple of other videos scheduled before this, I might have reached it already, although my growth is very slow. So if you can help me out, that will be amazing. Anyway, I know this is a tag, but as I said, I'm probably the last person on the internet to film my take on this tag. So if you have a YouTube channel, consider yourself tagged. If you don't have a YouTube channel, just leave your like lessons learned, and maybe we can learn from each other in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts and your take on this tag. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'm gonna catch you in one of my next videos. Bye.
Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here